calling you a radical. So back to the Nuscale, Utah Ponzi scheme. Nuscale in Utah is a Ponzi scheme. It started out as a Ponzi scheme. It's still a Ponzi scheme. They're advertising on KSL 103.5. I mean, they're going mad. Now, let's start from the beginning. I mean, I was on this Nuscale in 2011, before I got leukemia. Right when Fukushima happened. You know, I was all over Nuscale, and I'm like, no, up in Oregon. So their original funding was a hedge fund, guy named Kenwood. They were broke. They were done. It was a sham. It was just a big scam. A guy steps up to him and says, hey, here's 27 million. He was South American, an Argentine, supposedly hedge fund. Hands him over 27 million. And they knew full well, Nuscale knew full well that it was scammed money. They knew full well that they were already under investigation by the SEC. They knew full well it was a money laundering shelter. That's what it was, because let's get real. The Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate, that's what they do. They're into everything criminal you could possibly think of. So Utahns are paying the price for nuclear testing again. And you don't think I have a dog in this fight? Sorry, Vincent, you're coming down. My father, I'm seventh generation Utah. Nuked to death in the Nevada test site, died of AML leukemia, well, ABL leukemia. I went into the bone marrow transplant on Salt Lake. I'm so Utah. I'll tell you how Utah I am. I lived in the bone marrow transplant at the top of LDS basically for 5 years, fighting AML leukemia, de novo. So, of all places, I'm fighting them. Nobody's fighting them. I'm trying to raise attention. You know, this is when Blue Castle was going on. Same thing. Blue Castle. I'm like, no, Lead Dog Hedge Fund. So I reached out to, I'm an old Wall Street guy. You know, I graduated Clyde Cooley's #1 finance school in Utah. I was on Wall Street. And so they're like, fuck, there ain't no Lead Dog Hedge Fund. Blue Castle was all a sham. That's what they do. You have to get the money up front. So, I'm fighting them. It's a scam. Of all places, I'm in the bone marrow transplant. I'm fighting Blue Castle. I'm fighting Fukushima. I'm full of cancer. I'm dying. I'm out of money. The state of Utah kicks me off Medicaid after I forked over $1 million. The state of Utah attacks me. I'm seventh generation here. Abraham Hunsaker IV is my grandfather. Without Abe the First, there is no Mormon church. You know, the Hunsaker, the whole thing, the Mormon socialists. That's my line. Yet they abused me to no end because I'm taking on the nuclear energy crisis. They attacked me. I'm in critical condition. My doctor, you can go talk to him. Go talk to Fimble Peter. Go talk to any doctors. They'll tell you Kevin Blanch is probably the greatest miracle that's ever come in here. I will quote Celeste at the top of East 8 Bone Marrow Transplant Center. Kevin Blanch, I've been here 26 years. I prepared your paperwork going in here. We ranked you as a red 10. In my 26 years, I've never seen a red 10 walk out of here. You should be very proud of your fight. Well, I walked out. Been a long, ugly battle. Chemo war at Mark Valve, I had open heart surgery. They hired trolls, they hired teams to attack me while I'm in the ICU unit. I'm being attacked. I mean, viciously. They hired trolls to slander me. We proved it. We went to the FBI. So I talked to Sean Reyes, our Attorney General. Of all places, the Bear River Massacre. As I go every year. That's coming up. The only year I didn't go last year because of COVID. It was not appropriate because of COVID. So I think our new congressman here, Blake Moore. I talked to Blake Moore about this. He doesn't even know what I'm talking about. I might as well be talking Chinese. So I've talked to every politician in Utah. They just, why did you fund these? Why? Because they're being supposedly tested at Idaho National Lab, which Paul Winchester was in the unit with me. Me and him grew up together. He grew up in Idaho. He died of leukemia in 2013. He knew what got him. He knew that accident in Arco. Johnny, who was in the bone marrow transplant with him from Arco. Several Idaho people in there died. And I'll testify, this is not hearsay. I lived there. I'm a patient. I could talk all I want. Hippologize your fucking ass. This is my life. You go on that bone marrow transplant any given day, top of LDS, which is cutting edge. Fimbo Peters from Denmark, which is world renowned now. The Marshall Jensen one is in the room next to me. Look up his case. Probably the most famous leukemia case. The two. He and I, Kevin and Carla, Carly's passed away the same right there as Marshall did. Over half of the people in there are from southern Utah on any given day. The world-class triathlete was in the room next to me, Nancy. She passed away. You know, there's 44 of us in there. I think I'm the only one alive out of that group. Vincent Hansen, who just recently retired, he'll tell you. Go talk to him. Go interview him about Kevin Blanch's case. My doctors up at McKay, they'll tell you this is some kind of resume. So I asked Sean Reyes about Nuscale at the Bear River Massacre. This is the greatest Ponzi scheme ever been perforated on the state of Utah. Utah has already forked out $500 million through AMPS. I was heavily involved in AMPS. You know, that was for wind and solar through the legislative process. They're just stealing the money. We've already paid this Nuscale company, Reyes. I asked him, well, there's a lot of rumors you're related to him. I used to call it the Reyes connection. No, I'm not related to him. Who is he? What? I said, what about this AMPS, these little SMRs we're funding through our bills in Utah today? I don't know what that is, Kevin. It's online. I've asked Spencer Cox dozens of times, you know, Herbert, our former governor, dozens of times. I asked Spencer Cox at the same Bear River Massacre, well, the first time we show up to this, the reason we're here, because this was Utah territory. I videoed, I have on film, I have lots of video on him. And he come on, I said, Spencer, I'm not going to play I gotcha because you're running for governor, but why are you ignorant? You're airing your ignorance in public. What are you talking about? This was never, Franklin and I was never Utah territory. It was Washington territory. That's not what we were told. So I've talked to him about Nuscale. He's also in bed with Bill Gates, says that Utah is going to fund the one in Wyoming. It's a fairy tale. It's a sham. Price Anderson. It's a Ponzi scheme. $500 million have come out of your bill. Your AMPS, your Utah Power and Light bill has been funneling to them. $500 million. They were going to have them here by 2021. It was started out as 24 of them. Then it was 12 of them. Now it's 6. They're not going to have. My friend owns the bar at Idaho National Lab in Atomic City. I'm going to go up there again, which I go up there all the time. He and I went to high school, Fast Times at Weber High, together. And I get the lowdown. They're not testing shit. It's a Ponzi scheme. The head of the NRC, who approved, they didn't approve any smaller. They approved the water boiler. Worked with Hawaii Reza at Idaho. They worked together. You don't think that's a little conflict of interest? It's a Ponzi scheme that's been shammed on the Utah taxpayers. Excuse me, the Utah ratepayers. I'm a ratepayer. We all are. Talk about a backdoor tax, huh? Utah is paying the price of nuclear tests, and I don't think they're testing anything. There's no such thing. So I asked ex-Governor Huntsman. I asked him. You know, he was the ambassador to Russia. What about this nuclear reactor that blew up, this little SMR that blew up on 8/8/2019? I asked him. It's online. Yeah, I'm the one that collected the data, Kevin. We know it was one of these little SMR. Rocketdyne, they blew up every time they've ever been tried to blow up. There's nothing new. It's a sham. Price Anderson, they get all the money. But they have to have the original funding and then the matching. And the original funding was a Ponzi scheme. Look it up. I'll post the links. You're being shammed in Utah. This is probably the greatest Ponzi scheme in the history of the state through the taxpayers. I mean, it's disturbing. And they're getting away with it. And the only one, I caught them under the stairs at the Utah State Legislature, lobbying while they're in session, which is against the law. Weber State, they're all over. They've had one resistance, one from the beginning, Kevin Blanch. That's it. Go ask Matt from Hill. He resigned over all this. He says, Kevin Blanch, I mean, threats to us. They hired trolls to attack us. You know, the timing, I mean, you can't even talk Fukushima in Utah. No media has even reported Fukushima to this day. Just the greatest nuclear meltdown, ecological catastrophe in human history. So, I mean, I'm the walking, talking expert on this. You know, I'm the guy that put the dagger to Blue Castle. Remember I used to say, nuclear reactor on the green, why not put up a statue of Ted Bundy on I-15? You know, this is such a spit in the face to everyone who's passed away, including my father. You know, people who fought, family members. We all paid the price here. You know, and I will say this in honor of the great Scott Matheson. His wife just died in LDS state of leukemia. She's a gem. We love that guy. We know, you know, it didn't go away. We're still paying the price. Stay tuned. Nuscale from Ponzi Scheme.